smart speaker.
Play WHPC.
And available on Odyssey, TuneIn, iHeart, and on the WHPC app.
90.3 WHPC.
Shake, shake, shake. Shake your booty. Shake, shake, shake. Shake your booty. Shake your booty. You can do it very well. Welcome to another edition of From the Press Box here every Monday from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. Part of the WHPC Sports Talk family, which is Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, 4 p.m. to 5 p.m., with an additional Sports Talk every Tuesday at 11 p.m. This show becomes a podcast later on. If you miss it or want to hear it again, my name is Rob Leonard. Joining me, of course, is award-winning sports writer, and yes, my brother, Tim Leonard. And you know, brother, before we start, you know, every week it seems that Prince Harry is on the television complaining about his family.
Harry Kane?
No, Prince Harry, not Harry Kane. You know, Harry.
Only Prince Harry I know.
He's not a prince. Prince Harry.
He's the prince of the
He's
soccer field.
married to Meghan Markle. Him and his brother keep fighting. And I'm like,
different guy.
you know, I'm like, you know, we don't fight that way, brother, do we?
I saw the interview last night.
Yeah, he's always complaining
on
man.
60 Minutes, and
You know?
yeah, I heard that Netflix paid them $100 million.
No,
That's what 60 Minutes said. Netflix paid them $100 million for that show.
no.
Yes, 60 Minutes isn't going to say it if it's not true.
You sure it doesn't include The Crown or something like that?
I have no idea. All I know is that he said they got paid $100 million.
So when does Netflix go out of business, or
maybe
merge
that's
with
why
someone else?
Maybe that's why everybody's monthly subscription fee went up.
Maybe, I don't know.
But
I don't have it, so.
unbelievable number.
That's incredible. Why would you pay that?
Even Harry, as privileged as he's been his entire life, who claims that he has renounced his royalness,
Yes,
could live the rest of his life on $100 million.
I think he could.
I know he could.
And
He should be able to.
And
I don't know.
I'm sure he's still getting some money from the family.
I don't think he is.
I think he is.
I really don't think he is.
I can see, you know,
He's living in L.A. He's not doing any
Queen.
kind of responsibilities unless the Queen left him something. Could have gotten an inheritance.
I'm sure he did.
But as far as is he generating any income from being a member of the royal family seems very unlikely.
Right. Well, either way, that's a lot of money, which is why all the streaming is going to go out of business in 2 years. So remember that, brother.
I mean, it was a big get for Netflix, but $100 million.
$100 million. Well, you know, give us $1 million of that. We'll be glad to start fighting.
Come on,
want some
Netflix.
real fighting? We'll fight. We'll be like the Gallagher brothers from Oasis or the Robinson brothers
I hate those idiots.
from. Oh, look what I found! My coupons.
What a guy.
Oh, cool.
All right, good, bro.
Maybe we go
Good.
there for lunch.
Good.
I had coupons for a certain place to get breakfast, and I didn't think it was in my pocket.
Yeah,
It was.
there you go.
Look at
Pocket.
that. I even touched my
Amazing.
pocket. Oh, look at that.
Amazing.
Anyway, brother, let's talk about what's going on here. Because, you know, right now we are in the middle of January. The NFL playoffs are starting.
Well, the early part of January, brother.
Yeah.
What is it, January, 8th, 9th?
January 9th.
9th.
You know, yesterday would have been Elvis's birthday
There you go.
if he had stayed around. Didn't fall and bang his. Well, he didn't bang his head, but
Did he have a heart attack?
yeah, he did. He had a lot of problems with Elvis. But anyway, lots of things going on in the NFL. Let's be honest.
The regular season is finally over.
Finally over. You know, it's funny because it's now an 18-week season with a 17-game outcome schedule. And the last week didn't seem like it was part of anything.
It seemed very disjointed because there were so few games that actually mattered, and like the game that to me seemed the most important, and it wound up that neither team made the playoffs, was the Lions-Viking or the Lions-Packers last night. Right. Now, I had predicted that first of all, I predicted that the Lions would finish with a better record than the Giants and the Jets. I was half correct on that.
Right.
But the Lions winning last night did not surprise me at all. I'm a little sad for the Lions.
That they didn't make the playoffs.
Exactly, that they didn't make the playoffs. Thank you for thinking for me, brother. But they certainly deserved to be there. And I don't think the Packers deserve to be there. So last night's outcome in that Sunday night football game was not a surprise to me at all. We're gonna have to wait and see what's going to happen with Aaron Rodgers and what his decision for the future is going to be. One thing for sure, Aaron Rodgers is never in his life going to be hurting for money. But does he want to play quarterback anymore? He's still good. I wouldn't say he's elite anymore, but he's still good enough to play. I think I would take him over Tom Brady. Let's put it that way. Right. So if a team is looking for an old quarterback, could Aaron Rodgers come and play quarterback for the Jets?
Yes, but you know what? That's happened before, where a guy from the Packers who was a great quarterback came over and then really didn't have much.
But by then, Brett Favre had nothing left.
Right. So. That could be the same thing. I mean,
now Rodgers has still got something left, but they would need to improve the offensive line. Let's face it, the Jets right now, quarterback for next season is so up in the air. Is Mike White any kind of an answer? Personally,
no,
I don't think he is. I think Mike White is a guy who, if you put him against a bad team, he'll put up gaudy numbers and probably win you a game, but. Anybody you play against a bad team, or almost anybody, I should say, because Zach Wilson obviously hasn't gotten the job done. But most decent quarterbacks, if you put them up against a bad team and open up the playbook, then you'll get a 300-yard game and you'll get a win. That's why those are bad teams. But when you put Mike White up against a good team, chances are he's going to get hurt because that seems to be a repeating pattern.
Right.
And he's not going to put up a very good game.
I think Mike White, right now, he's the leading candidate for the guys who are on the Jets who play quarterback.
His teammates love him.
They do.
Give him that. They love him, but I don't know if he's the answer.
He's not. They're not waiting around to see. The only way he might become the leading candidate is if they don't get anyone, and they say, okay, he's had a good spring training. That's the only thing.
Training camp.
Well, I call it spring training.
Check ESPN, brother, for the draft. The Jets are going to be picking somewhere, I think, around 15 or 13 or somewhere in that neighborhood, and you don't get a franchise quarterback there. So, does Joe Douglas have enough picks amassed? And I don't think he does, because I think the Jets had 3 first-round picks last year. You don't have 3 first-round picks, from amassing picks. They had to make some trades. They dealt some guys, especially for the third one of those picks, to get back into the first round. But I'll say this: the Jets had a great draft last year, just outstanding. Sauce Gardner probably is going to be the defensive rookie of the year. Wilson, the wide receiver, Garrett Wilson,
right,
is probably going to be the offensive rookie of the year. So when your first 2 picks in the first round of the draft are even candidates for the offensive and defensive rookies of the year, you're doing the draft right. And, of course, Breece Hall in the second round was just an unbelievable pick. He would have been a contender for the offensive rookie of the year if he would have stayed healthy and he wouldn't have torn his ACL.
Right.
So if I'm not saying I want to say if the Jets can repeat that, but it would be incredible to repeat it, because the Jets basically got not only 4 starters, they got 4 all-pro caliber starters in those first 4 picks. You don't repeat that.
No.
It's just, no. You hope to repeat it, but to say, well, if they just do that again, no, that's really hard to do. It's really hard to hit on every draft pick and hit hit with some of the best players in the draft.
Yeah, I agree. But it's, I think this is the list for the draft.
Are the Bears at number 1?
Yeah.
Yeah, then go down. Where are the Jets? What number?
Jets are number 13.
13. So that's what I said. So, but what do you get at 13? You're not going to get a franchise quarterback. And to be honest, I'm not sure that there are that many franchise quarterbacks in this draft. There aren't. You look at the college programs and what they've done this year, and yes, there are a couple of good quarterbacks. I don't know that there's anybody out there, who is ready to take over in an NFL team. And the Bears at this point, they have a kind of, I don't want to say a similar decision with Zach Wilson that they have with Justin Fields, but I don't think Justin Fields has gotten the job done. And the Bears now have the number 1 pick. Are they going to try to get whatever they can for Justin Fields, who don't get me wrong, is definitely better than Zach Wilson. But what is a team going to give up for him in the hope that they can turn him into something?
Yeah, I think right now with the Jets, you sort of have to wait a little bit. You can't make the move.
Wait for what?
So let's see what happens. Well, after the playoffs, obviously, but I think I personally think you move closer to the draft. Do you resign? Do you keep anyone? Do you sign Zach Wilson to a backup quarterback?
Well, he's on his rookie contract.
Yes.
The only solution for Zach Wilson at this point with the Jets is to get rid of him. He can't. There's no way he can exist as a New York Jet and be successful. I think that ship has sailed.
Well, then you need a backup guy, unless Mike White is automatically the guy. But if, it depends on who you get. If Aaron Rodgers, if the Packers decide not to keep him, which I would consider a mistake.
It's possible, but
I'd consider.
Well,
that a
they have
mistake.
Jordan Love. They have the draft pick that they made a couple of years ago, who has been waiting in the wings. I think was hurt this year. Yeah, in fact, he was. I forget the injury, but he was out pretty much all season. But this is the danger of not hitting on your quarterback pick. And the Giants are going to be in a similar situation, but I think they're going to sign Daniel Jones. I just don't know what the money's going to be. But
it can't be big money. He's not worth big money.
That's the issue. And that could be the breaking point is if Daniel Jones tells the Giants, well, hey, other quarterbacks are making $40 million, I want $40 million. The Giants are going to tell him to walk.
He's out the door before the door hits him.
But again, when you don't hit with your quarterback pick, it sets your franchise back by such a massive amount. Because now you're playing the game, the merry-go-round of, who can we pick up? What quarterback can we get? And let's hope that this guy hits and we find the potential that he had when he was drafted, but he never produced so far in the league. And it almost never works.
Well, also the other place where they might be looking, the USFL and XFL will have seasons this year. You never know. I'm sure they'll be looking.
Those are backup quarterbacks.
I know, but you're going to need a backup quarterback if Mike White is hurt again, or if you don't feel comfortable with them, or if you need a third guy or whatever. So it could be those seasons. I mean, they're not great places to get great players, but it is a place to get them. I mean, these two leagues are looking to be
right, but
I wouldn't call minor leagues to the NFL.
They are minor leagues to the NFL,
but they're not officially minor leagues to the NFL.
No, but I mean, this is like when I was covering the Arena Football League, and you would see the best players in the Arena Football League would get tryouts with NFL teams, and for the most part, wouldn't even get through those tryouts, and they'd be back a couple of weeks later, or if they stuck, you'd never see them play on Sunday. Guys in the USFL and the XFL, those are practice squad players in the NFL.
Right.
At best.
In many ways, yeah. But you never know. You never know. I mean, hey, Kurt Warner came out of the Arena Football League. You know that. You saw him.
Of course.
So, you saw him play, and then you watched him go to the NFL, and he
right. But the secret to that, and I give Dick Vermeil all the credit in the world, was he tailored his offense around what Kurt Warner had done in the Arena Football. Basically, Dick Vermeil turned the Rams into Arena Football. And they call it the greatest show on turf. Well, that was arena football. Hey, we're chucking it. We're chucking it. We're going downfield, and who cares? We're going to try and score 50. That's how we're going to do it.
I have no problem with that as a regular way of doing things.
Kurt Warner was the perfect guy to run that kind of a system. It was the perfect way for him to. I mean, if Kurt Warner would have been if Bill Parcells would have called him for the Giants back in the day and said, "Oh, Kurt, we want you to be our quarterback," Kurt Warner would have been a failure. He wouldn't be a Hall of Famer. He would have been a failure. They would have caught him at some point.
And of course, Kurt ended up with the Giants. So.
Well. He was Eli's backup, and then the Giants screwed him up in a big way because that was when Eli was starting his career,
right.
And Kurt Warner was there. He was a backup, and the Giants, all right, yeah, we don't need you anymore. And then he went where? I think the Cardinals after that, and he had several good seasons after that.
Yeah,
which I'm not saying that they should have kept him to slow down Eli's progress, but when the Giants let him go, they gave the impression that he was done, and he was far from done. So, I mean, they could have kept him around and let Eli develop a little bit more, but they wanted Eli to play. He was the number one pick that they had made the big trade for and gave up a bunch of draft capital to get. He was the guy. So, that's how it goes in the NFL, and that's why I'm saying that maybe the Patriots do say to Aaron Rodgers, "Hey, it's been great. It's been a little weird, but it's been great, but we're going with Jordan Love." Even though I'm not sure that Jordan Love is good enough to be a starter in the league. He has not shown it. He hasn't, he really hasn't done a lot to say, hey, I deserve this job, except that he's a lot younger than Aaron Rodgers is.
Okay, this is Kurt Warner was with the St. Louis Rams, 98 to
after the Giants. After the Giants.
Giants 2004. Arizona for 5 more years, 2005 to 2009.
And had very good seasons for them.
He did. The numbers are pretty good.
5 years.
And he's in the Hall of Fame.
Of course, I just said that.
I know that, but it's not something I expected.
Why does that shock you?
Because he came in at 27.
Yeah, well, that's what happens.
Stayed to lose 38, and the Football Reference people don't even list AFL in there.
No. Why would they?
I don't know.
They wouldn't.
Why not? I'm going to just check to see his AFL stuff.
Good luck finding him.
Is the AFL in the thing?
I don't even know. It's been a long time since I looked.
95, 96, and 97.
Yeah, big numbers.
Big numbers.
Probably had 80 or 90 and 80 or 90 something touchdowns.
No, 183.
Yeah. No, I'm talking per season.
Oh yeah, 43, 61, and 79.
Huh.
10,000 yards.
Yeah.
Over 10,000.
No surprise.
Yards. Well, that's pretty good.
Mike Perez had better numbers than Kurt Warner did.
And they have him. He tackled one person each year, 96 and 97. They put it in.
That's because you throw interceptions.
Yeah.
So him getting a tackle is probably not a good thing.
No, but hey, I'm always shocked that someone like Kurt Warner came out and did what he did.
Well, so anyway, brother, we got Giants losing to the Eagles yesterday. No surprise. As soon as I heard that Davis Webb was going to be the starting quarterback for the Giants, I knew which direction that Coach Dable was going in. The Eagles obviously needed to win the game to get the number one seed in the NFC, and obviously did that. They had to play Jalen Hurts.
Right.
They played all of their starters because obviously they wanted the number one seed. They wanted the bye week. And the Giants were going to be sixth overall no matter what. It was just a matter of which team they were going to play. And actually the game was closer than expected. What was it, 22-16, I think it was. Davis Webb actually threw a touchdown pass to Kenny Golladay, the incredibly expensive free agent wide receiver who has been a complete and total bust with the Giants. Caught his first touchdown with the Giants yesterday after 2 seasons. 2 seasons of pulling in, I believe it's $18 million a year, and he has 1 touchdown in 2 seasons.
Not getting their money's worth, are they?
I think he's got 5 catches and 1 touchdown this season. The entire season, $18 million.
Why do you pay someone that much?
Kenny Golladay, because if they cut him, it becomes dead money on the cap.
No, but why didn't you use him more?
Well, because he's not performing. If he's
you
terrible,
can't perform if you're not throwing the ball.
If he's terrible,
just give me the damn ball, as Keyshawn used to say.
If he's terrible, then you don't throw him the ball.
Is he that bad?
Yes, he's been a disaster, and so many people were happy when he signed with the Giants because the Giants needed a lead receiver type, and he has been just a horrible disaster.
Yeah. Well. So anyway, the Giants, they lose to the Eagles, but it was a close enough game.
Yeah, like I said, 22-16.
They're going to play the Vikings on the 15th, which
Sunday at 4:30.
4:30 on Fox.
And you know what? It's a game they can win.
I think they can beat the Vikings.
I mean, I don't think they're going to win, but it's a game they can win.
I think they're going to win. They lost to the Vikings 27-24. You know, that was a close game. They could do it. I really think so.
It's possible. Is it possible? Yes. And are the Vikings a team that certainly can be beaten? Yes. Because Kirk Cousins, the Giants' pass rush can get to Kirk Cousins. And if they can shut down Justin Jefferson, which obviously is not an easy thing to do. In fact, it's almost an impossible thing to do. But if they can limit him, then the Giants could win this game.
They could.
Daniel Jones has to do enough. Saquon has to do enough. I mean, this is where the offense is going to be tested because you're going to need to score in the 20s. You know, they're not going to win this game 14-10 because the Vikings offense is good enough to get the job done. The Vikings defense is terrible.
Well, part of the reason, I want to say the reason, but one of the reasons the Giants lost against the Vikings, they had 2 turnovers and the Vikings had none. So
turnovers are key.
That right there.
They're always key.
So that's why. So if you can prevent, you know, what was it? They had 24. Well, no, that can't be right. 11 points. No, I'm looking at 17 points in the fourth quarter of the Vikings.
Yeah.
That's all you have to stop.
And what was the final score?
27-24.
You give us 17 in the fourth quarter, you're going to lose.
Yeah. So that's what they have to stop. I think I remember watching the game. I thought the Giants played very well. I think, as a matter of fact, they should have won the game, I thought.
Well, like I said, you don't give up 17 points in the fourth quarter.
Right. So that's I think very important, and you know, it's going to be. I think it's going to be a much better game. I also think, I think if you're the Giants, you have a lot to prove right now, and I think that's what you do.
Well, yes and no. I mean, the fact that they got to the playoffs, to me, they proved something. They've proven something this year.
Yeah,
and they've clearly taken big steps this season. Kayvon Thibodeau, I think, has been a phenomenal first-round pick, especially more recently. His second half of the season, I think, has been tremendous. Evan Neal, their other first-round pick, hasn't been as good, but has made some progress in the last couple weeks. I mean, I'm looking at him as being better next year. We'll see where that goes. But not as splashy as the Jets' first round picks. I mean, Sauce Gardner, like I said, he's been one of the best corners in the league. Never mind one of the best rookie corners. And Garrett Wilson has been a revelation at receiver. Garrett Wilson is the kind of wide receiver that other teams draft, not the Jets. So now the Jets have a guy who is undoubtedly not only a 1,000-yard receiver, but a 1,200 or 1,300 yard receiver. Yeah, well, I mean, he's going to be an elite receiver in the coming season.
Right. I agree. Let's see. Let me count how many losses in a row the Jets had. 6 in a row.
Yeah, to finish the season.
Remember, we thought they were going to make the playoffs.
At 6-3 or whatever it was, they should have.
Yeah.
There's no reason the Jets shouldn't be in the playoffs right now.
I agree.
So.
I agree. That's something.
It's a disappointment, especially when you look and you see like Miami's in the playoffs, and Miami had a terrible, terrible finish to the season. And that game yesterday, oh my God, it was awful. It was for anybody who might not have seen, the Dolphins beat the Jets yesterday 11-6. The reason it was 11 was because the Jets gave up a field goal, I think it was a 50-yard field goal with 19 seconds left in the game. They attempted 2 passes after a touchback, so the ball's on the 25, 2 incomplete passes, and then last play of the game, 5 seconds left. It was a pass over the middle for about 10 or 12 yards, and then the lateral started. The whole Stanford band, et cetera, et cetera. What a disaster. because the first lateral went back to Joe Flacco. Joe Flacco's, what, 40? A lateral to Joe Flacco is never a good move.
No.
So as soon as Flacco got the ball, he tried to run. His body is not made for running at this point. He tried to get rid of the ball as quick as possible. And as it turned out, the ball wound up going through the end zone, and that's a safety. So that's how far backwards the Jets wound up going. Is they wound up going like 30 yards backwards. And then the ball went out of bounds, and TV couldn't wait to cut away from that game as quickly as possible, and they had to score on the scoreboard 9-6. Well, no, it was 11-6 because when the ball goes through the end zone like that, it's a safety.
Yep.
So,
yep.
But what a terrible game to watch. Both offenses were awful. Like I said, Flacco started for the Jets. Skyler, I don't even remember his last name. Started third string guy started for the Dolphins. It was two inept offenses doing next to nothing. Tyreek Hill kept coming out of the game because he was hurt. Flacco kept trying to force the ball to Garrett Wilson, who still wound up with something like 8 catches for 102 yards. Like I said, that's an all-pro type of afternoon. But you can only ask a receiver to do so much. There's only so many tackles he can break. And you have to be able to move the ball on offense, and the Jets couldn't do that. So, it was kind of a fitting end to the Jets season. It was a lot of ineptitude, and there's a lot of dead weight, especially offensively on the roster that needs to be replaced. That needs to be upgraded.
Do you keep Flacco around as your third string next year?
I don't see any reason to.
He's only 37.
I don't care.
He's only 37. So, I mean, why not keep him around like, George Blanded years or something? I don't know. He got 1,000 yards this year for the Jets. I didn't even realize that.
Absolutely not.
I mean, he's got 42,320 yards total, lifetime career. That's
lifetime. He used to be a very good quarterback. He's not anymore. There's no reason to keep him around.
That.
There's no reason. I don't see any reason to keep Zach Wilson around. See if a team will give you something for him. I mean, the Jets need to find somebody who can play quarterback. And I'm not saying it has to be Aaron Rodgers or anybody, but that's the problem for the Jets right now. Is the swing and miss that they took on Zach Wilson is going to set them back. Because now they're a pretty good team. And you can win a Super Bowl without a great quarterback, but it's a lot harder to do. Like the Ravens won a Super Bowl with Trent Dilfer at quarterback.
I remember that.
Trent Dilfer is not nobody will remember him as great. But their defense was so good. And it's possible for the Jets to do that. But they need to find somebody who's steady enough and reliable enough to not commit stupid turnovers, to be able to lead the offense to score enough points. They don't have to score 30 a game, but 20 or low 20s a game. If the defense is dominant enough, we'll get it done. And that's what the Jets need to find. It's not easy to find. So that's the issue. Is who is that person, and that's what the Jets need to find.
It's going to be a tough. And how much do we blame the coaching staff for allowing this collapse to happen? We haven't really talked about that. We
it's
like
a combination.
We like Robert Saleh a lot. We think he's a good coach, but 6 games losing in a row is more than just having a bad quarterback.
Well, the Jets' offensive coordinator Mike LaFleur actually admitted a few days ago that Zach Wilson would have been better served sitting and learning for most of his first season instead of starting immediately. Now, first of all, I was amazed at the honesty in that answer because you don't usually get such honest answers, especially from coaches. But now you're in a situation where the decision that you made regarding Zach Wilson really has hurt him in his career. And I'm not sitting here putting the blame on the Jets because obviously Zach Wilson has to take a lot of the blame for not developing and not figuring it out. And I don't know if it's a talent thing, if it's a mental thing, but there are issues there that never were dealt with. And like I said, the fact of the matter is, it could be just he's not good enough. These things happen.
I know.
You draft players and you have all the best intentions, but every once in a while, hey, there's Jamarcus Russell, and there's Ryan Leaf, and guys who were expected to be great, or at least very good,
Right.
and turn out to be horrible. And these things happen, and sadly, they seem to happen to the Jets more than most teams, especially at quarterback. I read something this morning that said in the last 40 years that the Jets have not drafted a great quarterback. They've drafted two good ones, and they listed Ken O'Brien and Chad Pennington. And I would say, yeah, they were both good.
Yeah,
Neither one was great.
No.
Neither one of them was what you'd consider a franchise quarterback.
They both did pretty well.
They were good. That was it. They were good. I'm not gonna sit here and lie and say either one was great, especially when with Ken O'Brien you could have had Dan Marino.
Yeah, we know.
And all because this is how laughable it was. All because there was a rumor going around that Dan Marino smoked pot. Nowadays, who would care?
Now it's part of getting better.
Nowadays, it would be, Danny, bring that arm over.
They say
bring that arm to the Big Apple, baby.
They say, are you healing from smoking the pot? That's what they're saying now.
But that's it. That's the whole deal. And it's remarkable to me that the Jets have never been able. I mean, I go back to Justin Herbert, and if he would have come out the year he was expected to come out instead of staying in school, he would have been a Jet. And then you look at Sam Darnold, who most people thought was the top quarterback in that class.
We thought so.
And the Jets got him, and we thought we were set. And, hey, wouldn't it have been cool if they would have gotten Josh Allen instead?
Yeah.
Of course, you don't know development-wise if the Jets would have done the same job with Josh Allen as the Bills did. But,
True.
Sam Darnold is on the verge of being out of the league, and Josh Allen is one of the top probably three quarterbacks in the NFL.
You're right. You're listening to From the Press Box right here on 90.3 WHPC. Give us a call, 516-572-7440. We'd love to hear from you.
Shake off the realities of the day, broaden your musical horizons, and embrace the diversity every Monday afternoon at 5 for 2 hours of Revelations. The show offers a potently unique collection of music with an emphasis on themes and rock rarities, an occasional tour de force of blues and soul, mixed with compelling sets of folk and folk rock. I'm Steve Kay, and I've got the perfect soundtrack for your drive home every Monday afternoon at 5 on Revelations, right here on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC.
Okay. Yo.
Tell your friends about the Nassau Morning Madhouse. Hear what you're missing.
Check it out.
Tom Brady, I think it's disgusting that any network would want to give that much money to have somebody talk. Sure, his opinion counts, but does his opinion count for $400 million? I don't even think God's opinion is worth $37 million a year. Right now, if I can get you six figures, I'd be happy.
That's so nice.
What about me? What are we, chopped liver?
You guys are worth six figures easily, just not in sports. No offense, Aisha, I don't think you know a damn thing.
Yeah.
Do you know how many points a touchdown gets you?
Yeah.
How many?
24.
That's exactly right. How did she do? She is worth $37 million.
I told you, I know.
Holy, can you tell me how many points is a home run worth?
Okay, give me a second. 14.
14 is exactly right. How many points do you get when you score a goal in soccer?
I think it's 3, right?
3 is right.
The Nassau Morning Madhouse. Weekday mornings from 7 to 9. On the voice of Nassau Community College.
90.3 WHPC.
It's Big Ed inviting you to join me Mondays from 10 till noon for the Good Gold Show. We've got the greatest hits of all time, all your faves of the 50s, 60s, and 70s. A whole lot of fun, and we'll keep you informed. Plus, we'll take your requests and your dedications.
Playing favorites.
So join me Mondays from 10 till noon for Good Gold on 90.3 WHPC, available on the Odyssey, iHeart, and WHPC apps.
Yeah. .3 WHPC. From the press box on your radio or your listening device, nccradio.org, iHeartRadio app, tunein.com, odyssey.com. And we have a WHPC app, don't forget. And don't forget, if you want, ask Alexa to play WHPC. Just a reminder, Motormouth Radio, every Sunday at 12 noon. Join the Motormouths, Ray Guarino and Chris Switzer, as they feature information about cars. They have guest interviews, tech tips, and, of course, your call-in questions with all topics relating to automobiles. That's Motormouth Radio every Sunday at 12 noon, right here on 90.3 WHPC. My name is Rob Leonard. He is award-winning sports writer Tim Leonard. And, yes, my brother, give us a call if you want, 516-572-7440. I just want to, before we hit the next topic, brother, I feel bad. I don't know if you heard about Bernie Kosar.
I did not.
I'll read this off Yahoo Sports. It says, Cleveland Browns legend Bernie Kosar placed a costly bet in Week 18.
Uh-oh.
Not only did Kosar lose a $19,000 wager on the Browns, who lost to the Pittsburgh Steelers 28-14.
All right, that's a dumb bet to start with. Go ahead.
But the bet also cost him a spot on the team's pregame radio show. Kosar confirmed Sunday that the team told him his services are no longer desired or needed. Now, Bernie Kosar is like the king
Based on what?
I'm getting to it.
Well, get to it.
But he's like the king of Cleveland.
Yeah, get
they
to the good
love
stuff.
him.
Get
I'm
to the good stuff.
getting
Get
to
to
it.
the good stuff, brother.
He is the king.
Yeah,
of
we
Cleveland.
know.
Okay. Anyway, it says here, and that he was shocked by the decision. A spokesman for the
'cause
Browns.
he's the king of Cleveland. Get to it.
A spokesperson for the Browns later confirmed Kosar was pulled specifically because of the league's gambling policy. We understand what Bernie means to this community and our history, but as team contracted personnel hired to provide content on our media platforms, the Browns spokesperson said his bet was a violation of the NFL rules, and we must adhere to the NFL policy.
That's probably true.
So,
in fact, I'm sure it's true. If they fired him, why else would they fire Bernie Kosar in Cleveland?
Shouldn't Bernie have known this?
He should have.
Shouldn't
so should have what's his name, the Jets assistant coach who just got fired and suspended for a year
for gambling on his team.
For gambling, for gambling,
Oh,
you
okay.
can't gamble on NFL games if you work in the NFL. Period. You cannot gamble on any NFL games.
So what they're saying is, I'm sure the pregame show has betting ads in there, and
of course.
So they're saying the people listening could have you can gamble anything you want.
Fans can gamble any stupid amount they want.
But the people who actually talk about it and know about it,
NFL personnel, if you are employed in any way by an NFL team, you cannot wager on NFL games. To quote Spicy, period. So that's a rule. Everybody knows that rule. Bernie's been around a long time. He knows that rule. So yeah, that shouldn't even be an issue. So the fact that the Browns let him go, I'm not sure why Bernie was surprised. Especially if he's talking about making bets.
But my question is, if they bring on, we all know that sports talk radio, in many ways, is going to more of a betting thing about sports than about sports in general. So if someone's willing to put up their own money to bet on a game, even though he has a connection to the NFL, why should you stop him? You're encouraging people to bet, except for the people who work for you.
Because Bernie has access to players.
So
what's to prevent him from making a deal with a player to influence the outcome of a game? Fans don't have that access.
That's the problem with the gambling thing.
Yeah, well, that's the issue. That's why nobody connected with the league is supposed to gamble. Plain and simple. It's a very easy rule to know about. And the fact that Bernie Kosar has done it, and like you said, obviously a legendary figure in Cleveland. So he's more than likely going to have to serve a 1-year suspension, and then after that, maybe he gets his job back.
He should. I mean, if he didn't know, which I can't believe, but
I can't believe he didn't know.
But maybe he thought, it was also supposed to be, I forgot to mention, it was also the first bet in legalized sports gambling in the state of Ohio. It was going to be the first, symbolic bet. So the people It's like crossing the bridge.
Then
it's like crossing the new bridge.
I mean, somebody should have known about this, and somebody should have said, "Hey, Bernie, that would be a really bad idea."
Yeah.
And I mean, he bet $18,000.
$19,000.
Oh, because his number was 19. Still, it's idiotic. Why would you bet I wouldn't bet $19 on the Cleveland Browns, especially against the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm not betting against Mike Tomlin.
No, and plus it's interdivisional. It's still a tough game. Even if the Browns are playing bad, maybe that's what
the Browns are almost always playing bad.
Yeah. So,
but I mean, somebody with the Browns, somebody connected with the Browns. If this was the symbolic first bet, somebody with the Browns should have caught a whiff of this and gone to Bernie and said, "Look, you can't do this."
I agree.
Because if you do it, you're not going to have a job. And the NFL is either going to suspend you, or the radio station is going to fire you, or whatever.
Well, what the NFL should do is after everything's over in the spring, say, you know what, we're willing to forgive him. He was fired. He lost the money. We won't have him do it again. I mean, he didn't know. He was genuinely unaware of the rule, which I can't believe. But either way, it's a good way for the NFL to remind people not to bet on the NFL if you work for the NFL.
They should know this already.
Well,
like I said, it's no secret.
I know that, but maybe the announcers don't know.
In the meantime, we'd be happy to have Bernie on From the Press Box.
Well, if
he wants to analyze the NFL playoffs next week, more than happy to have him.
Yeah, we won't be paying him, so
no,
that'd be
perfect.
It's more of a
we bring him in on an internship basis.
Yeah, he'd be our intern.
Come on, Bernie.
Yeah, Bernie. Yeah, we can do that. So anyway, Damar Hamlin, brother.
Yes, Damar Hamlin, brother.
Damar Hamlin. I call him Damar.
Good for you. I'm sure he's very happy about that.
This guy.
What a crazy story, brother.
This guy
crazy, scary. It's gone from crazy, scary to crazy, inspiring.
This guy has an angel on his shoulder, man. This guy fell in the field, collapsed. He was taken off the field. I thought he died or was about to die.
His heart stopped twice.
Yeah.
Once on the field, and then once again, either in the hospital or on the way to the hospital. I forget which one it was, but just a really tragic story that, again, has become just completely inspiring for so many reasons. Number one, his charity, which people started donating to almost immediately last Monday, which was trying to raise money to buy toys for kids in Buffalo. And the goal was $2,500. Now that charity has raised more than $7 million.
Right. So
because people just keep donating, which is phenomenal. But the bottom line, the basics here, obviously, I don't think there's anybody who hasn't heard this story. But just to restate what's happened, Damar Hamlin, the Bills' safety, just on what looked to be a very normal play. T. Higgins from the Cincinnati Bengals caught a pass over the middle. Hamlin came up on him, put the hit on him, tackled him, and popped up to his feet. And it looked like a very normal NFL play. It wasn't a big hit. There was nothing especially ferocious about it. But a couple seconds after Hamlin got up, he collapsed. He fell backwards. He hit his head on the turf. And I'm sure any sports fan has probably seen it at least a couple of times by now. And pretty much immediately, other players started pointing at him and were waving medical personnel, get on the field now.
Yeah,
we need you.
This isn't like someone just twisted their ankle. That's the way he dropped.
Yeah, people could tell he was out. And the medical personnel got on the field immediately, and this was probably a life-saving circumstance with as quickly as people got on the field to treat him and the treatment that he received. CPR immediately. One of the Bills trainers was lauded yesterday just for getting his face mask off quickly. Right. And that's screws. You got to unscrew those things because they didn't want to move his head. But being able to treat him and do what they needed to do, obviously the face mask is going to be in the way. So you got that thing off as quickly as possible, and it was scary to watch when it was happening because it reminded me, and nobody on the broadcast said it, But it reminded me of a couple of years ago, Christian Eriksen, the soccer player, formerly from Tottenham Hotspur, playing for Denmark, and he collapsed on the field in very much the same way. And the reason that he was able to survive was because one of his teammates recognized what was happening and gave him CPR. And then the medical personnel got there, and they were able to treat him and get his heart going again.
Right.
And Christian Eriksen now is back to playing. He's playing for Manchester United right now. I don't want to say one of the top clubs in the world, because they're okay, but it's a legendary club for sure. And right now we have no idea what the future holds for Damar Hamlin. What we do know is he's recovering well. The brain function seems to be 100%. The doctors are very, very pleased about it. They took his breathing tube out a couple days ago. Hamlin he's still in the hospital, but he's tweeting. He did a FaceTime call with the Bills before the game. I think he did one on Saturday and Sunday. He's certainly tweeting because Nyheim Hines returned the opening kickoff against the Patriots for 90-something yards for a touchdown, which was just amazing. It was unbelievable.
He tweeted OM.
There's an F in there.
FG.
You can say the F.
Yeah, we can say that.
Like a Pete Alonso.
Right. Yeah.
But it was incredible, and like I said, we don't know if Hamlin is going to return to playing in the NFL, because I bring up Christian Eriksen because it's possible to come back, but the NFL is a completely different animal than soccer. I mean, soccer is a physical sport, but nobody's hitting each other like they do in the NFL.
Yeah, but was the hit the reason he had the problem?
The thinking is, and there's no, I don't know if there's any way to figure this out for sure, because the doctors haven't said, but by all indications, it was the hit to the chest, because Hamlin, when he tackled Higgins' shoulder went into Hamlin's chest. And the thinking is...
But he got up.
Yeah, but the thinking was that the hit happened at exactly the right moment with the heartbeat, that because it was a fairly hard hit, it altered the heartbeat and made it stop. And there's a way to do that, and it's happened a couple of times with guys with hit by pitch, and they get hit in the chest and their heart stops. So it's a timing thing that you need to get hit pretty hard, but it also has to happen at exactly the right moment, which we're talking a millisecond.
Right.
So from that standpoint, I don't know if Hamlin, and the only people who know are Hamlin and the doctors, if he's ever going to be able to play. Because would they have to implant a pacemaker? Because that's what happened to Christian Eriksen. They put a pacemaker in, so this way, if something like this ever happens again, the pacemaker will kick in and boom, get his heart going again. Now, would the NFL allow somebody with a pacemaker to play in their league? I have to assume they would not.
Well, especially since everyone seems to tackle with their head and into a chest.
Well, either way, but I mean, the NFL is a league of car accidents, basically, with humans.
Well, one thing that the NFL got lucky this week is that he came back. If he had died,
he's recovering,
right? He's recovering.
Let's say he came back,
but
he's doing.
He looks good.
He's prohibitively doing well.
Yeah, but if he had died, there would be a big thing over the NFL about.
Oh yeah,
how do we fix this? How dangerous is the game? Maybe we shouldn't allow people to tackle with their heads.
But there was no tackle with the head.
I know that, but that's what a lot of this, all the concussions, it's all the head banging.
I understand that, but that's why when NFL players talk about you never know when it's going to be your last down, this is part of the reason. There wasn't a headshot involved with this. It was a perfectly normal looking football play. There was not a big hit. It wasn't like you looked at it and said, "Wow, holy cow, I can't believe he got up." It was just a normal play. He grabbed the guy. Hamlin grabbed Higgins. Higgins kind of crashed into Hamlin with his shoulder into his chest. It was a perfectly harmless looking play, and then all of a sudden, Damar Hamlin's falling backwards, and teammates are screaming to get medical people out there. And hey, he's not conscious. And it went from normal to insane, literally in 1 second. And that was the insanity of it all. But everybody who watches football, everybody who plays football, is just thrilled for this kid. Yeah. Because the recovery that he's made so far has been fantastic.
And at least he didn't get paralyzed like Dennis Byrd and that type of thing, which is a different thing.
Different thing, yeah.
But it's the same type of thing. You get a hit and all of a sudden you're down.
It's a massive injury. I mean, like I said, we have no idea what Damar Hamlin's future is. I personally, I think his NFL career is probably over because I don't see a way for him to play again. I don't see how doctors are going to clear him to play in the NFL, and to play that level of football. And who knows? Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't see it happening.
You know what I see happening? I see him actually coming back and then retiring like the first day at spring.
Well, it's a ceremonial thing.
Yeah.
Well, that's possible, but that's not.
I didn't realize this. I just did a look up on Dennis Byrd. He was paralyzed from playing, and I didn't realize. First of all, he passed in 2016. It was because some 17-year-old kid crossed the line and hit his Hummer.
Yeah,
and Byrd died in the accident, and his 12-year-old son who was in it was also injured in the accident, but not killed.
He died in a car accident, which is crazy.
Oh man,
you think after everything that guy went through.
Yeah. Oh man.
But these things happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that so obviously we wish Damar Hamlin the best. I'm incredibly impressed with all the people who donated, and like I said, his fundraiser is now up past $7 million. I mean, I would have no problem whatsoever if Damar Hamlin kept half of that at least, if not more. Guy was looking to raise $2,500. He's got $7 million now.
Yeah.
And like I said, the chances are his NFL career is over. He obviously is going to need medical care for at least the immediate future.
Yeah.
If not extended. Let's hope it's not very much extended because he's still got lung damage.
Right.
And yes, they took the breathing tubes out. And I'm assuming that he will recover from the lung damage, but it's a process. We don't know how long it's going to take.
Yeah.
So it was great yesterday, that opening kickoff, going back for the touchdown. I mean, goosebumps. It was absolutely a goosebump moment. And to then see it happen twice, and Josh Allen mentioned it after the game, it was the first kickoff return for the Bills for a touchdown in 3 years and 3 months. And Hamlin's number, obviously, is 3. Because everybody in the NFL yesterday was wearing, love for 3, love for Damar, everything. Everybody should know now that Damar Hamlin wears number 3. And also, his jersey, in 1 week, is now one of the top 5 selling jerseys in the NFL.
Right.
And he gets money from that. That much I know.
He does.
He gets money. So he's getting paid.
Because his name is on the back.
Right.
That's the way
it
good
works. For him. Good for him that he's going to at least get some money out of this because chances are he's going to need it.
Yes, I agree, and good for him, and we'll see what happens with him. I think it takes a while, but I personally think you try to come back.
You don't know if he's going to want to do it. I mean, I can tell you right now, I'm pretty sure his mother doesn't want him to do it.
Well, yeah, of course. So
mom's voice is a loud one in a lot of families. So
we know that.
So that's we'll see. We'll see how much he wants to get back. How much I mean, he wasn't a star player, so he was a pretty good safety. He got a starting job because somebody else got hurt. He was making somewhere in the neighborhood of I think around $700,000 this year, which by NFL standards certainly isn't a lot of money.
No,
but he's a guy that you need on every team. Everybody on the Bills seems to like the guy, so he's doing something right because there's not a lot of guys in football on football teams that you could say all of his teammates like him. So he was that guy. He was that personality guy, keeps guys loose, always like one of those guys that shows up early, leaves late, and all his teammates say, hey, he's a good dude.
Yeah, you want that in a player.
So
let's talk about what's tonight. What's college football, brothers, or what's going on?
TCU and Georgia. For all the marbles tonight, brother. It should be Georgia. But you know what? TCU, they have a shot. And TCU has done something this season that you wouldn't expect that has put them in the title game. And that is they have used the transfer portal to perfection. And
you make it sound like something from a movie.
But it is, basically. It's a recent phenomenon in college sports where basically guys just transfer everywhere. How they got people to go to TCU and how they convinced them into coming there and saying, yes, we're going to challenge for the national championship.
Right.
Over Alabama, over Georgia, over Ohio State, over Michigan. TCU, nobody expected them to be there before the season started. Nobody. They were supposed to be a pretty good team. They were not nearly this good or supposed to be this good. Nobody predicted this. And now you have Georgia, who, let's face it, probably should have lost last week to Ohio State. We're lucky to come out of that with a 1-point win. Against TCU, who basically played an Arena Football League game against Michigan last week. Michigan couldn't stop them once. It was embarrassing because the TV people kept waiting for Michigan to take control of the game and kept waiting for Michigan to finally come back and take the lead. And it was every time Michigan scored a touchdown, oh, here come the Wolverines. And then 3 plays later, TCU was stuffing another touchdown down Jimmy Harbaugh's throat. I have never seen a defense play as badly as Michigan's played in that semifinal game. In a big game, just the worst defensive performance I've ever seen. That's how bad it was. They could not stop TCU. Now, will Georgia be able to? Georgia's got a really good defense. Georgia's got a fast defense. Georgia's got a really tough line. And I think the spread on the game is something like 10 points. I don't think it should be 10 points.
Well, I don't know what the thing is. Let me see if I can find it.
I think Georgia's going to win. But if I was betting this game, and we all know I don't bet, but if I was betting this game, I would give TCU considerable thought.
You know the TCU team is called the Horned
Frogs. Yes, Horned Frogs. What's wrong with that?
The hell's a Horned Frog?
I don't know.
Do they
Some
even
Texas
exist?
thing. Who knows?
At least the Georgia is the Bulldogs. That makes sense.
Yeah, go Dogs.
Go Dogs.
It's like on Dukes of Hazzard.
Yeah. Anyway, that just about does it. Another edition of From the Press Box is over. Big Ed has entered the studio preparing, as he always does, for the big show. So give Big Ed a listen with Good Gold, playing those hits that
Did we
aren't
do
played
weather,
anymore.
brother? Do weather.
Oh, I didn't do weather.
Do weather.
Okay, your
why I'm
WHPC weather forecast, powered by Pantano's Gourmet in Hewlett, Uniondale, and Garden City Park. Today, this afternoon, it's going to be high about 45 degrees. It's going to be partly cloudy, possibly sunny later on. Tonight, going down to 38 degrees, will be partly cloudy also. And tomorrow, currently in Garden City at Nassau Community College at 90.3 WHPC, it's about 40 degrees. Anyway, Big Ed's coming up next. Please listen to him. He's got a really good show planned. By the way, if you heard Ron Stevens, he's doing a 60s show on Sundays now at 6 p.m.
All right.
So more oldies. It doesn't disappear. It just comes to WHPC.
The views expressed on air are not necessarily those of WHPC, its management, or Nassau Community College. Responsible opposing viewpoints will be considered by emailing them to whpc@ncc.edu or by mail at WHPC 1 Education Drive, Garden City, New York 11530. Thanks for listening to the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC.